Hey everybody, Dylan from Noble Records coming at you with another video. I've been trying to come up with as many new ideas as possible for videos. I've been wanting to put out a new one every day. I have not done that, but I've come close. Because we're all quarantined and we need a distraction. And so I've come up with a great one. A friend of mine, Nate, over at Nate's Crates, he doesn't upload videos, but he comments on a lot. He's a good guy. We were talking about doing like a new vinyl tag. So he came up with some questions, I came up with some questions, and so we're going to do a quarantine edition of vinyl tag. Anyone is welcome to join in. It's a lot of fun. We love vinyl tag at the beginning of the year. If you're not familiar with vinyl tag, every year the vinyl community on YouTube does this thing called vinyl tag. And what it is it's a list of questions that you just go through and you answer and you show records and you have fun. You'll see an example of what it is if you're not familiar with the concept and you'd like to jump in. Feel free to. I'm going to put all the questions in the description of this video so you won't have to miss any of them. You can copy and paste whatever. If you don't like a question, you can skip it or you can substitute it with your own question. It's no rules, there's no prize, it's not a contest. It's just to have fun. It's just to get the conversation flowing, just to have fun. If you've never uploaded a video and you want to upload a video, this is a great chance to let people know who you are and to know what you're into and all this stuff. It's just a good, fun thing to do. So we're going to do it. Come up with 20 questions. This is my vinyl tag, quarantine edition. Question number 1. Favorite record from your home state or city? I don't know. There's a lot of really good ones from North Carolina, and also there's not a lot of really good ones. There's one called The New Mix. It's a pretty good site group. I almost picked that one, but this is a really cool one that I've not heard anyone ever talk about. This is called the Aces Combo, introducing the Aces Combo. These are a bunch of guys from like up around Winston-Salem area. I think a lot of these guys were actually closer to the Charlotte area. You know, they live, but these are all the guys are 15 years old. It's a garage band, and these guys look like they're really having a great time. You know, they've got some killer gear. So like a Fender bass, freaking sweet Gibson SG, you know, some cool gear to be 15 years old, freaking shredding it in their station wagon. But yeah, it's a really cool garage record. This one's not in great shape, but I found it a few years ago and just could never let it go because it's so cool. And there's a lot of really cool regional psych and garage stuff, but this one for North Carolina, right around our neck of the woods, it's really, really cool. It's called the Aces Combo. I don't even know if you can find this anywhere. Maybe you can online to listen to, but that's a really cool one. Number 2 is an album that you highly recommend. This is one I recommend a good bit. If you watch my channel for any length, you've probably seen me show this, but this is a record I found last year. Obviously, I knew who Lightning Hopkins and Sonny Terry were, but they're just phenomenal, and this album is just a very unusual blues album, and I say that because the type of reverb that is on Lightning Hopkins' vocals, man, this is just such a killer album. And they have Sonny Terry on there too, just unbelievable. But this is quickly becoming one of my absolute favorite blues albums. But I highly, highly recommend it if you can find this to listen to anywhere. It's called Last Night Blues. Lightning Hopkins, Sonny Terry. It's on Prestige Bluesville, one of my favorite labels. But yeah, this is just, it's killer stuff. And what gets it for me is his vocals. Just the reverb that's on there. It's just so raw, but there's reverb on his vocals. It's just so cool. But yeah, that's one I would highly recommend. Number 3, a tip for a beginner. So this is probably the best tip I can give you. And I just picked a record. I didn't even know that this was warped, but it's kind of tough to tell. But this is a little bit warped. This is a great album, The Crazy World of Arthur Brown. The other day I put it on. My mom was over here, and I wanted to put on a record for her that was crazy. I don't know why. And I put it on, and it's warped. You can barely tell just by looking at it. But one of the biggest things, it's got an edge warp. It's what they call edge warp right here. So it skips. You can barely see it. But now, you know, I can't really use the record anymore. I'm going to have to find a better copy. It's devastating. But you can usually see if something's warped by holding it up to a strong light and see if there's a little glare. You can see if something's warped. But always when you're going out and looking for vinyl, check condition and check for warps. Sometimes the warp can be so subtle just by the look of it, and you not be able to tell you till you get it on your turntable. But just check the condition. You might get in there and get really excited and not look at things, but condition is super important if you're buying records. Number 4, first record that really got you into deeper music. This is not like a super deep record or anything like this, but there's an old shop in Charlotte called the Wax Museum, and a lot of people didn't even know that it was a record store because it was called the Wax Museum. Everyone thought it was a wax museum. I thought it was a wax museum for years, but the wax is, you know, slang term for vinyl. So went in one day and was like, holy crap, this is a freaking record store. And it was great, and everything was like pretty reasonably priced for the most part. Cheap records, great records. It was like a honey hole. Like that well, come to find out now, a lot of people knew about it, but at the time I was like, nobody knows about this place. And I found such great records there. But one day I remember I was really trying to get into psych. I started watching some videos on YouTube, and this is probably 6 or 7 years ago, I don't know. And I walked in there, and this album was there. And I didn't know this is Fleetwood Mac. This is called Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac, but it's Fleetwood Mac's first record. And I remember thinking, that's kind of cool. I don't know if I've ever heard this Fleetwood Mac album. And at the time, I considered myself pretty smart when it came to music. I knew a lot more than my friends did. And growing up in high school, I always knew all the trivia and all that stuff. I mean, I knew a lot about music, I thought. But I was like, I think I might have seen this cover before, but I've never heard this Fleetwood Mac album. And I turned it over and looked at the back. Didn't see Stevie Nicks, so I was like, this might be pretty good. I might pick it up. I got it for $4, you know, which they cost a lot more than $4 usually. But this is not Stevie Nicks. This is Fleetwood Mac before they had the big change. Peter Green was the guy that was the guitar player. He's one of the founding members of Fleetwood Mac. One of the most underrated, phenomenal guitar players to ever walk the face of the planet. The dude was an animal. And so the early Fleetwood Mac albums are like blues rock and psychedelic rock. They're freaking killer. And this album, when I put it on, it absolutely blew my mind. I actually looked at the label and was like, this cannot be Fleetwood Mac. I could not believe it. And I looked at the label and I was so freaking perplexed. And I actually pulled my phone out and Shazammed, I don't know if you guys know Shazam, to make sure that I didn't get the wrong record in this thing. Because I was like, this is killer. What is this? This is not Fleetwood Mac. This is not You Can Go Your Own Way. This is awesome. So nothing wrong with later Fleetwood Mac. It's just not my thing. But that is very much my thing. So after that, I kind of was like, man, I gotta get into some deeper stuff. I mean, there's a whole world of music out here I don't know anything about. So, number 5, an obscure record that people may not know about. This one's really cool. I just got a hold of this. This is called Major Arcana or Arcana. This is a really, really interesting record. The album artwork is absolutely insane on this record, but that's the label. But yeah, this is a real ethereal, I guess you probably call it prog. This is like late 70s, 76, 77, something like that. But this is incredible. It was just a kind of a ragtag group of musicians, but the guy that plays keys and flute and all the stuff on this album is just a freaking genius. And this is a great record. Very, very, very hard to find, but it's super obscure. A lot of people might not know about it, but that's a gem. So that was obscure record many people might not know about. Number 6, a group that you try to collect all their albums. You guys know what I'm going to show. Led Zeppelin. It's the group that I try to collect all their records. And here's why. This is a really cool cover. This is a Japanese press, an original first Japanese press, with the freaking gatefold, y'all. You never see it with the gatefold. Look at the back cover. Which one is it? So, as you know, that's Robert Plant, but it says it's John Paul Jones. So that's kind of funny. They got those confused. But yeah, it's just kind of a really rare pressing of it. Pretty cool. So yeah, I try to collect. My Led Zeppelin collection is nuts. It's not even healthy. A band whose second album is better than their first. In my opinion, Warhorse is a great hard rock band from the early 1970s. Had all kinds of great musicians in it. But their first album's excellent. Their second album's even better. Red Sea by Warhorse is a great record. Number 8 is Show and Tell a Whack-A-Mole. If you don't know what Whack-A-Mole is, it was innovated by Mazzy over at Norman Maslov's, I think is the name of his channel. I'll put the link below. But Mazzy has this thing called Whack-A-Mole, and it's great. It's the greatest thing since sliced bread, where he just goes and just randomly picks a random record, and he doesn't look, and then he talks about that record. So this is, oh man, Paul's Boutique. I picked a great one. Paul, this is an original first U.S. press, and this is a freaking smoking banger of a record. Arguably better than License to Ill, but this is an incredible Beastie Boys album. I don't think I've ever even showed this, but this is yeah, this is one of my favorites. I listened to this the other day. It's got a lot of great samples on it, and the Beastie Boys were just brilliant. I mean, in my opinion, they were brilliant. I was talking to my wife about it last night. She did not care, but I was telling her about how, like, the Beastie Boys were great, and they were genius musicians and businessmen, and they were good at what they did, and everyone loves it. I mean, everyone loves the Beastie Boys. Number 9. What's an album that you've listened to most in your life? What album have you listened to the most in your life? So what album have you listened to the most times is what I'm getting at here. And for me, it's Led Zeppelin 3. And I chose this so it wouldn't be typical. This is a Brazilian pressing of Led Zeppelin 3 with like a little bit of different cover. This is the back cover of the normal Zeppelin 3. But anyways, Led Zeppelin 3 is just the album I've heard the most times in my life. I've heard it a billion times. It's the one I've listened to the most. Number 10, show an album with a crazy story. So this is just SRC. I just thought I'd pick this one because this is a really great album. I don't see a lot of people talk about it, but if you like guitar, it is a really great guitar record. You know, blues licks, psychedelic rock. I mean, look at this. Look at the cover. It's psych, but it's got some great electric blues licks on it. But this is a great album. I had been looking for it for a really long time. And this was, I mean, I had been into psych for a while. If you guys know my story, like 3 years ago, I sold 95% of my collection. And I was really wanting to get back some of the psych stuff that I'd sold. And I was having a hard time finding much psych. And I got this call, and this lady's like, hey, my best friend said that you bought her record collection a few years ago. I didn't know what she was talking about, and she said, my dad passed away, and we're trying to, you know, sell some records that he had, and didn't know if you'd be interested. So I went over to their house, and her dad had the most amazing taste in music. I got back almost all the records that I had sold when I'd sold all my records before, and some. So I got tons of really great stuff, and the kicker is everything he had, he kept in the shrink. So everything was in phenomenal condition. And I just couldn't believe the stuff that I got. I mean, I paid her very well for them, but still finding it all in one place like that was just phenomenal. But this was the record. I got all 3 of SRC's records. They're all in the shrink, all just near mint. And this is one of the ones I was really excited about getting because it's kind of so hard to find. But I also got Bubble Puppy and like some really rare ones, you know. So I've probably got 50 to 100 records in my collection that were from that collection buy. It was great. So number 11, what are your collecting pet peeves? And I'll just tell you, you guys probably know this already. My number 1 pet peeve in collecting is the gatekeepers, as they call them. So these people, they call them gatekeepers because they say you have to do this if you're a collector, and the plural of vinyl is vinyl, and if you say vinyls, bleh. People that have all the rules and they act like, oh, to be in the vinyl community, you got to do this. And I've had so many people tell me things that I've done wrong, and oh gosh, you're going to banish me from the vinyl community. Oh gosh, they're going to revoke my membership card. Who gives a crap? It's all about fun, you guys. So that's, you know, what I'm saying. When I got to where I was monetizing my YouTube channel to help raise money for the shop, people were like, you have ads on your channel, you're out of the vinyl community. I'm like, come on, guys. It's all for fun. Whatever. It's the people who act like they own part of it. You know, it's like, that drives me crazy. It's all about fun. It's all about enjoying things, recommending music to other people. That's my pet peeve. Somebody posted something on Instagram tonight that said, real collectors don't sell their music. Real collectors keep it forever. He's like, well, how the heck are you supposed to have people that start record stores that aren't passionate enough about records to collect them in the first place? But they don't sell their records, so why are they going to open a record store and sell records at a record store because they're such a collector that they wouldn't sell the records? But then how are you supposed to have record stores? Anyways. I got a little right off the rails on that one, y'all. 12, an album or a genre that people might be surprised to find out that you like. This is one, it's not too crazy out there, But I went through a phase a few years ago of post-rock. So post-rock is like a lot of instrumental stuff, but this is a really cool one. This is If These Trees Could Talk, self-titled, and Above the Earth, Below the Sky. I haven't listened to this in a little while, but it's got some really sweet colored vinyl if you're into that type of thing. But yeah, there's a label called Molly and Sheath. I don't even know if they're still around. They just still do stuff. They probably do. But I used to buy almost everything that would come out on that label because I love that. It's like ambient rock stuff. It's just you put it on and you can work, and it's kind of background type stuff. It's great. But I really love this album. This is one that I got from them that I absolutely love. Show an album from the year you were born. This is the first one that came to mind. And Justice for All, Metallica. A lot of people think I'm super old because I have not aged well. But I was born in '88, same year as this album. So this is an original U.S. press. And Justice for All. I'm an original U.S. press. Show a 10-inch. So this is number 14. Show a 10-inch. If you don't have a 10-inch, that's fine. But the question is, show a 10-inch and or share your opinion about 10 inches, because a lot of people have mixed opinions about them. This is a really cool 10-inch. This is the first one I grabbed. This is Lead Belly Rock Island Line, 1953. It's got a little bit of a price tag on the sleeve, but the actual cover is great. This is on Folkways. This is like a huge double whammy for me because it's Folkways, which I collect, and it's Killer Blues, which I collect. So it's a best case scenario. Love that. That's a great 10-inch. My opinion on 10 inches, I don't love them. It's an annoying format. I think that if you have to put less songs on a 12-inch, do it, because they're all uniform. I don't love singles. I'm starting to get more into singles because there's some things that never came out on albums that were like garage bands and psych bands and stuff that just never put out full albums, so you have to get that single. So I'm kind of getting into that. But 10 inches, that was before LPs. Everything was 10-inch, so you had 78s that were 10-inch, and then when they moved to the 33 RPM, that was 10-inch, and then they moved to the 12-inch LP long play. So some things you can't avoid getting in the 10-inch, but I prefer the 12-inch. Number 15, share an interesting fact about an album or a song. This is an album, Attila. I think I've showed it on my channel before. And the interesting fact is this fella right here is none other than Billy Joel. I have been looking for this record. I have owned it for a while, and for the past 2 months I have been trying to find it, and I have not been able to find it anywhere. I know that I have it. And then last night I actually dreamed that it was in my A's, in my record collection, and then I just never looked there. And sure enough, I came out here and looked at my A's, and there it was. That's how disorganized I am. If something's organized, then I've lost it. But that's a great record. In my opinion, the best thing Billy Joel ever did. It's phenomenal. It's crunchy. It's dirty. His organ is just like on fire. You got to check that out. Number 16, show an album with an animal on the cover. I'll do you one better. An animal riding an animal. This is Budgie with the parakeet riding the horse. Budgie's an excellent early hard rock band. Some of their 80s stuff you might have seen. Not that great. But the early albums, the first like 4 or 5 I think, are really, really good. This one's super hard to find. This is an original UK pressing, which you never see. I actually forgot I had this the other day. I found it when I was putting stuff on Discogs in my collection. I was like, holy moly. So that's a freaking killer one right there. But Budgie, man, that's a great record. And it's one you got to have. Number 17, show an album with crazy artwork. This one is called, and I'm going to completely butcher it, I know, because you guys know I'm bad about that. But Raminghi, 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 something like that. But look at that crazy artwork. And this also could work for an album with animals on the cover, obviously. But this is a really great record. It's kind of out there, crazy, proggish, psychish, just really good. I listened to it the other day for the second time, and I was like, man, this is really good. But yeah, that's one with some crazy artwork. Number 18, show a really good album that you can get for really cheap. This is a great one. This is actually another one I got out of that collection I was talking about earlier with the Shrink. This is Armageddon. You can usually get this for 15 bucks or less. I've seen them for $7 or $8. This is an amazing album. Early hard rock, but it's just like incredible. First time I heard it, I was like, this has got to be an expensive record. I heard it online. Went out looking for it. It's cheap. You can get them. They're not that rare, but that's a highly recommended cheapie right there. Armageddon, 15 bucks or less. Sounds more expensive. Number 19, Show an Album with the Acquired Taste. And I hate to pick the most obvious one, but this is an original press of Trout Mask Replica. It's a great album. You may not think so. You may not have the patience for it. Most people don't. Over the years, the first few times I listened to it, I hated it. And I could not get it. And I was like, this is absolute crap. I just can't get it. But over the years, I've bought and sold it 10 times. And I'll say, I'm going to pick up another one and listen to it and see if I like it now. And last time I picked one up, I got that one in a collection, I think. And it was just, I put it on. I was like, man, it's out there. It's a little crazy. But I get it, man. It clicked for me. So it's kind of one of those things. It's an acquired taste, you know. It's one you got to listen to a bunch of times to really understand and get it. Last one, number 20, is Show Your Most Recent Find. This is one I got this today. While we're in quarantine, I have been naughtily buying some things online. This is one that I don't know that I'll ever find an original pressing of it. It's pretty rare. It's called Silberbart. S-I-L-B-E-R-B-A-R-T, Silberbart. It's just a freaking killer early hard rock record. Like I said, the original presses are super touch find. And this one was a smoking hot deal online. I got it for cheap, and I've been looking for it. I just want to hear it, so I grabbed it. So that's my most recent find. But anyways, guys, thank you for sitting through this and watching it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Anybody and everybody is welcome to join in, jump on the bandwagon, and do some cool videos, show us some records, tell us a little bit about yourself, and have some fun with it. It's all about fun. That's all we care about. So you guys have a great one. We will see you soon in your quarantine vinyl tag.